Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Before My Time. I am your host, Kelsey Laurie. We are joined with our friend, co-host, and producer, Matt Kelly, and we are going to talk about Schoolhouse Rock. Let's get educated.
In the ancient mystic trinity, you get 3 as a magic number.
We're here to entertain you. We'll sing your songs. For good times, the best times, you can't go wrong. We'll two-step, a new step, it won't be long. When the Dixielands are playing, soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
All right, Kelsey, we're hitting a lot of 50-year anniversaries right out of the gate in January. But I'd like to think that our show is an educational show, but it's also an entertaining show.
Yes,
and
it
50 years ago, a show that combined entertainment and education debuted. And I want to give you a very brief history of a little thing called Schoolhouse Rock. But first, I want to ask what your memories of Schoolhouse Rock are, if you have any.
I do. I definitely had a couple VHSs of Schoolhouse Rock, but going back and kind of reviewing some of them this morning, Multiplication Rock was the one most played in my house. And that is the one that I watched a lot. And so most of my memories are from that one. I do have a couple, like Conjunction Junction and the more American history and Constitution, Just a Bill. I think everyone knows. I'm just a bill. But those are kind of my memories. But from an early age, I mean, I think my parents just were like, we should have this in the house. And that's a good, thanks, Mom and Dad. I'm still an adult who counts on her fingers. So obviously Multiplication Rock worked.
Well, Kelsey, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but 3 is the magic number, and it really helps with multiplication. Before we dive into the history of the show, which actually starts with 3 is the magic number, fun fact, I remember this was there would be days in school where they would just be like, hey, I don't feel like teaching. You're going to watch this Schoolhouse Rock
Yeah,
VHS
I feel like we got that too, yeah.
So there was that, and then, you're younger than me, but there was this weird resurgence in the 90s of Schoolhouse Rock that, I remember my Saturday morning cartoons had old Schoolhouse Rock cartoons mixed into it. So it was really interesting. But the history of this series was that it stemmed from an idea by a man named David McCall. He was an advertising executive for McCarthy and McCall, and he noticed that his young son was struggling with learning multiplication tables despite being able to memorize the lyrics to all of his favorite Rolling Stones songs. So this ties back into the Rolling Stones. You're one of your favorite bands. They hired a musician named Bob Doruff to write a song to help teach multiplication, and he wrote the song 3 is the magic number. They then hired a guy named Tom Yu who happened to hear the song and thought, oh, I could do some cool animation to this. So he did some animations to this song. Here's where it gets interesting, because I didn't know this piece. They pitched the show as a TV show to ABC, and the vice president of ABC, who at the time was Michael Eisner, who later became the CEO and chairman of Disney. And that's another important piece of this story. Michael Eisner saw this short, and then he contacted Chuck Jones, the infamous cartoonist and director of Looney Tunes, and they were like, yes, we see potential with this. The show debuted in early January of 1979 with Multiplication Rock. That was the first episode of Schoolhouse Rock. They made it as a tape show, and they kept making tapes and episodes all the way up until 1984. And then a year later, Matt Kelly was born into this world, and they said, no Schoolhouse Rock for you. Then something happened in 1993. They decided to make a couple of new songs, and even got to the point where they released a new video called Money Rock in 1995. And this really kickstarted this Schoolhouse Rock nostalgia that started to build up. So there was an album released called Schoolhouse Rock Rocks, and it was like the Lemonheads, Blind Melon, a few up Better Than Ezra, like all of these 90s rock and grunge groups covering their favorite Schoolhouse Rock songs.
Oh, that's right, because I've heard the I'm just a bill, yeah, I'm a bill, yeah.
That's all from there. Also, like Biz Markie's on there and like a few other. It's a wild collection of artists. But that led to, in the 90s, Disney, now owned by Michael Eisner, decides to buy Schoolhouse Rock for the Disney Corporation and incorporate as part of the ABC One Saturday Morning block of television, which
I forgot about one Saturday morning. Oh my God, I forgot. Damn. Whoa, my brain just went...
Yeah, so in between your favorite episodes of The Weekenders, you would get a brief Schoolhouse Rock segment.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so as little bumpers all throughout the 90s, all the way into the early 2000s, Schoolhouse Rock was a constant fixture on there. And historically, in 2019, Schoolhouse Rock was officially added to the Library of Congress National Recording Registry as part of the 2018 class. So this is like... Schoolhouse Rock will always be safe. It will always exist. It is declared important by our government. I'm sure, having a song like I'm Just a Bill helped them get in that door at Congress. But yeah, I just, there's not a ton to talk about. It's a very small, for how long it ran, there's maybe, I would say 100 or even less than 100 songs in the history. But there are certain songs that have just lived on forever. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned I'm Just a Bill. Like that is a song
I feel like that one's really like everyone knows that one.
Everyone knows that one. Before we hit record, you even mentioned Conjunction Junction as one of those ones.
Yeah.
Hooking up letters.
This or that.
Yeah, one of the ones that I always forget about, but is, in my opinion, the catchiest one is Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here. And it's like, Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here.
I don't think I know that one.
Oh, it is. You hear it, and I can't tell you any of the other words, but the Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here part is just like logged in there. But what are some of the other ones? I want to talk about 3 is the magic number later.
Okay.
Because it's the first one and it's my favorite. But
multiplication rock, like I said, when I was going through kind of all of them, I definitely had multiplication rock on VHS. We might have had a few others, but for some reason my sister and I loved that one the most. The songs were the catchiest. Even to this day, the song that's multiplication by 5 is Ready or Not, Here I Come. And he's like, we're going to play hide and seek, but we're going to count by 5s. Even now in my head, I find myself going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40.
Oh,
like,
I forgot that's where that's how I count too.
Anytime I do by 5s, I do it in the rhythm of that song. And then I totally forgot about Elementary, my dear, when it's all the Noah's Ark. And he's like, how many animals are on there? And he's like, 2 by 2 is 4, my dear. Elementary. Da, da, da. And I used to always sing that when I was a kid and be like, elementary. But unfortunately, the number part didn't stick in my brain. Just the elementary part did. So good. Well, that's where my brain goes. And then figure 8. I used to always pretend to like skate around and be like, if I could skate a figure 8. And again, that's all that stuck. Not the actual multiplication part.
Not the actual multiplication part.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. So those are like the big ones that I knew all of them. I remember some of them like Lucky 7-7 or figure no, it was Naughty Number 9. I was like, this one's boring. I don't like this one. But yeah, I still count on my fingers, so obviously it all worked. But I took more into the account the production and the rhythm of the dance and the song, which then, hey, here I am.
That's where I want to give credit where credit's due with especially a song like 3 is the magic number. I can totally understand how that song, they were like, ooh, we can do something with that, because that song is catchy as hell. Like that, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18.
Yeah, I
21,
like
24, 27, 30.
How did I know you were going to say 30 next? I know the words.
That's because you learned how to multiply by 3s thanks to that song.
Because 3 is a magic number. Yeah, I did like that one too. It's so true. Like some of these, when I was like rewatching them today, I was like, holy shit. The same way that you go, oh my God, that's how I count by 5s. Like there's things that are so embedded in your mind from childhood that then you hear them as an adult and you're like, I had no idea that's where I got it from. Or you're like, oh my God. Like it's so cool. And I feel like that's Schoolhouse Rock is that for a lot of us out there.
Yeah. And I think another thing that's worth calling out with Schoolhouse Rock is like, I think that animation is so iconic. Like it doesn't look like any other type of animation to me. Like so much so that like I think of The Simpsons, right? The Simpsons did their parody of I'm Just a Bill called I'm an Amendment to Be. And they had to make it look exactly like that 1970s.
Yeah.
Like it's almost a little Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. It is very distinctive.
But it's wildly its own, right? Like if you saw just a drawing of a person, the same way that they do like, you know how you can like hire people to draw you to look like a Bob's Burgers character or look like a Simpson, like there is a very distinct style where if someone drew me in the style of Schoolhouse Rock, every person who walked in and saw that picture would go, "Oh, that's the Schoolhouse Rock art style." Like
that's so true. Oh my God, that'd be so dope to get that done. Or like everyone's doing on Instagram right now, doing all those AI pictures.
Yeah.
Which can we just, this is so not relevant. Everyone's paying $7.99 for that. That app costs $8 and everyone is paying it. You fool.
So the other thing, we'll also throw this. You lose. Yeah, don't use the AI art stuff. They're stealing art from artists and not paying them to like generate your AI animations. So you're just paying $8 to someone who's just going ha 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 and not even paying the artists who created.
What are they
the
doing?
AI
How are they
version
going that? What are they doing?
like with their $8 in both hands, $4 per hand. I learned that from Schoolhouse
Elementary. What if they have two bills of $4? Wait, no, there's no $4 bills. Never mind. I was like, what if each hand has 2 4s, being 8 in each hand? How much is that, Matt? $16 in my hand. Wah-ha-ha-ha. Is that how
are we writing a new Schoolhouse Rock song?
Yeah, about the people that create apps and steal everyone's money. But how much money do they have?
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right. New music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
It is mind-blowing
and heartbreaking
how many original scripts are written every year but are never made.
So we seek out these scripts and bring them to life with full audio production and professional actors.
Check us out at Undiscovered Scripts,
Movies made of paper.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Free.
We kind of covered most. What more can we talk about on this outro, Gelsey? We've covered the history of Schoolhouse Rock. We've talked about the songs that we remembered the most. We started to write a new Schoolhouse Rock song.
We nailed it. We didn't get into like computer rock or they have money rock, but I didn't watch any of those, so we're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. But here's a question for you. Do you think that Schoolhouse Rock was actually successful in what it was setting out to do? Because I think the answer's kind of no to a certain extent. Like I remember
I still count on my finger.
Yeah, like I know the songs, I know the lyrics, but like I don't know if I could tell you what a conjunction is or like, you know,
a
adverbs.
conjunction is an or, and, but, nor. I watched it this morning, Matt. I watched it this morning. It is true. But you know what? It's funny because I had a history teacher in high school who I think he had us watch a couple of Schoolhouse Rock, America Rock. And we're like, wow, we're 15. But it really breaks it down in a very elementary, basic, like I have watched some of those because sometimes the government, I'm like, I don't really understand because it gets complicated. And if you go back and watch it, it's a very basic breakdown in a very fun, catchy way. I think it does still. If you go back and watch I'm Just a Bill, you're like, oh, I forgot that's how it works, but now I'm reminded. And it's I don't know. I do think it works. And I think it's a great way to at least introduce ideas to kids. Maybe they're not fully grasping the whole government and operations, but it's kind of introducing words and concepts to them at a young age.
It is wild to me what you can introduce kids with entertainment.
Yes.
Case in point, my niece just turned 1 in August. So she's doing quick math with my Schoolhouse Rock skills, 18 months by the time this episode comes out. I think that's correct. And she watches a person on YouTube every day named Miss Rachel, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with this Miss Rachel person at all.
I do not watch Miss Rachel.
I watch it when I'm around my niece. Otherwise,
sure,
no.
You do. You watch it on your own. Yeah,
well, so she is a girl who was like doing Broadway. And then COVID hit and she had a newborn kid, and she and her husband started filming these YouTube videos where she was doing like a very like Mr. Rogers Blues Clues type thing, where it was like her, a couple puppets, maybe one or two of the friends that they knew from doing theater. And they would just do like simple little songs like The Wheels on the Bus, and they would like talk about stuff. But she constantly does sign language while she's talking in the video, and she's not like drawing a lot of attention to it, but she always does more. And my niece, who cannot speak, when she's finished her food, looks up at my sister and does
more
the sign language for more.
A lot of babies actually do sign. You can teach. My sister taught my niece some sign language where they know like all done is hands shaking. And
yeah,
doing
it's
the sign
very
for all
cool
done right now. All done more, and it's the same way. Not to relate babies to chimps, but it's the same way that we can teach sign language to monkeys. And they can communicate to us in that way. Babies do the same thing where they understand the communication thing. They just don't have the skills to talk yet. And yeah, it's really awesome.
But I do think that is a cool, it's cool that that's an option. And I do think that you're right. These are great refreshers, especially if it's been a good 20 years since you've watched I'm Just a Bill, to remind yourself like, oh, that is how a bill like goes through the different bodies of the government to become a law and whatnot. But I've found that the educational part of kids entertainment sometimes doesn't stick as strongly as like when we think about like what Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers were doing, where they were educating, but there was also just a lot of like teaching empathy and like that's
I honestly think that's the most important part. Yeah. And I even tell kids today, older kids, I try not to put this in young kids' minds, but I'm like, you're going to forget what you learn in school as far as facts go. You're not going to remember dates. You're not going to remember what's a conjunction or.
Yeah.
I was like, but something that school's teaching us in is society, how to follow rules, how to sit down and read and focus, and how to interact with coworkers, co-students, but that are becoming coworkers. And also something I tell teenagers, it kind of teaches you how to bullshit your way to an A sometimes. It's that classic, I didn't do the assignment last night. How am I going to make it look like I did? And I know it's funny and everyone's going, oh God, that's terrible. But that's real life, is going, I need to kind of like fake my way through this, and that fake it till you make it, or come forward with being ready for an interview that you're not ready for at all and making it look like you are. That's actually really valuable life skills. And if you do school right and sometimes don't study, figure out how to get through the test. I think that's more valuable than actually what's on the test sometimes.
I agree with you on that. Well, if there's someone listening and they're like, you guys didn't mention the Energy Blues or the Tale of Mr. Morton during your entire episode, sorry. But where can they let us know how upset they are that we did mention their favorite Schoolhouse Rock songs?
You can let us know, but I expect a voice memo from your upset in Schoolhouse Rock song form. That's right. I'm giving you a challenge. You can find us at Instagram at @BeforeMyTime_podcast, or on Facebook. Just search Before My Time. We will pop up. Write a little comment. Say what we missed. Say what's your favorite Schoolhouse Rock song, or again, leave us a voice memo singing Schoolhouse Rock style of what song we missed, or just how much you love us. And if you do enjoy your time with us here, we would love you to show your appreciation by leaving us a review, maybe some 5 stars, because 5 stars, hey, is really cool. Elementary. Okay, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again. Bye.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.